Big Lez's League, an all rugby league experience.
Hello, welcome back to Big Lez's League. Make sure if you haven't already to click down below and subscribe, become a part of the Big Lez's League community. We are going to be talking Origin 3. We're going to go into a bit of a deep preview, go through all of the points, all of the ins and outs for both sides going into this decider. It's going to be a huge game. Obviously, they all are at Suncorp, New South Wales. We don't have the best record in deciders at Suncorp, but this one feels special to me. This one feels like the first one won since 2005. I think we do get the job done there. We'll talk about the betting side of things a little bit later, but let's go straight into our preview here for State of Origin, for the decider for 2024. We'll start off with New South Wales. Obviously, the ins and outs for New South Wales. Bradman Best comes into the side here at centre. Latrell Mitchell drops out, a massive out for the New South Wales Blues. Obviously, Latrell Mitchell, he is known to break the game open on a regular basis. He comes into the Origin arena and kills it every single time. It is a shame to see him out of that side for the Blues, but with what you lose in Latrell Mitchell, you do gain here with Bradman Best. He's an absolute competitor. He's got some great speed and strength too out there on the edge. He's also played Origin and combined with Brian To'o last year in last year's Game 3. So it feels only right to bring him back in. There is a few concerns around his hamstring and how that's going to go for them. But look, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, if he isn't sweet to go, Matt Burton comes into the side, and I think that I'm happy with either or. As we said in the reaction to the team list, happy pretty much with either or here for the Blues. Whether you get Bradman Best or you get Matt Burton, happy with either one. But Bradman Best, we're going to assume that he's playing. It looks like the scans on Saturday went well. The testing on Saturday went well, and he looks ready to go. Keep in mind as well, when you go ahead and look at the team list on the NRL app, it does say that Luke Keary is still the 20th man. It's actually Joseph Suaalii, so just keep that one in mind. Obviously, a nice little trick to have up your sleeves there, Joseph Suaalii. In terms of who is the 18th man, it is Matt Burton, so he won't be playing on the weekend. I don't think he's playing anyway on the weekend. I just have to double check the draw, but yeah, look, obviously he'll be out for the Dogs. Again, I'm not sure that the Dogs fans will be too happy about that one, but it's a great guy to have up your sleeve too, a guy that can cover multiple positions for your side. It's great to have him there in the 18-man jersey back in the squad. I feel like he deserved to be in the squad for Game 2. It's great to see him back there for the decider. And in terms of the actual team, there is one more change here. Obviously, Haumole Olakau'atu drops down to the reserves. We do see Mitch Barnett in the 17, yet to make his Origin debut in this decider. Very excited about it. I think that he just is going to provide a lot more, yes, just in terms of his versatility than what Haumole will. I think that Haumole is an out-and-out edge. I don't think he suits the middle. Granted, he came on in both games and played well. Obviously, in that middle sort of role, moved out to an edge and then got taken off. But I think that Mitch Barnett can play both edge and middle to an extremely high quality. And I think that is the only reason that he's in the side over Haumole Olakau'atu. They said it on levels. I completely agree. If Haumole plays State of Origin football, and he is a State of Origin player, and if he does play State of Origin football, though, he has to be starting on an edge, whether that be left or right, most likely right. Liam Martin's there at the moment. He probably won't get that spot until Liam Martin gets injured, or when Liam Martin gets injured, until that's a fucking bad omen. But when or if Liam Martin gets injured, that's when Haumole Olakau'atu would come back in for me. He has to be starting. I just don't see how it's worth it having him off the bench. He hasn't played that bench role where you have to play either middle or edge to the best quality, whereas you're going to get a lot more quality out of playing Mitch Barnett on either the edge or the middle, if that makes sense. I think that Haumole's played very well when he's come in those short spurts, the 23-minute stint and the 19-minute stint in Game 2. But I just think that you can get a higher quality in both positions from Mitch Barnett. So, yeah, I am so excited to see Mitch Barnett get in there and rip and tear. Missed the birth of his child to train with the squad in Game 1 when he was the 18th man. Absolutely bizarre. Love hearing stories like that, but at the same time, like, priorities, eh? But look, I mean, prioritising the team here, you know where his focus is at. I am so excited to see him come in. I think that him and Leniu off the bench is going to be absolutely insane, and I cannot wait to see it. In terms of where Mitch Barnett comes into the game, I think it will be in the middle. I think he'll play at least 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes in the middle, in the front row there, taking off either Payne Haas or Jake Trbojevic. I think then Gerbo or Payne Haas will come back on and he'll slot out onto an edge, taking off Liam Martin for a little bit, and then Martin might come back in the middle, or depending on how they want to work this rotation. I think that Martin will get a little bit of time in the middle like he has in Game 2, and I think a little bit in Game 1. Very excited, though, to see how this rotation works, but I guarantee that Barnett will be getting at least 20 minutes through the middle of the field, just ripping and tearing with Spencer Leniu. And as I said, this combo off the bench that can play big minutes is so exciting. Very, very excited to see how both of these guys go, and I think it's going to be very hard. Just these two around tired forwards getting quick play the balls, it is going to be very, very dangerous. So keen to see how they go. Yowie, I think, will come on in that lock forward role and play that link man role at 13. Now that you've got Barnett there to come in through the middle. Then again, we could see Yowie come on and play that front row role that we have seen him play in the past. It really just depends on how the game is going and how long you want Cam Murray out there on the field for. But yeah, look, I think there is a chance that we might see Yowie get that link man role back and play that 13 jersey type role. Obviously with two middles now on the bench in Barnett and Spencer Leniu. In terms of some other points here for New South Wales, I think we've got to really just focus on starting with the same intensity that we've started the previous two games with. Just getting out there, winning the battle through the middle, which, Ruben Cotter and Lindsay Collins have failed to do in Game 1 and 2. We've won the forward battle at the start of the game both times. The first 10, 15 minutes of Game 1, New South Wales were winning that battle through the middle. And you could argue that there was a stage there in the second half as well, when New South Wales were winning the battle through the middle as well. So it is just going to be about winning that battle through the middle to start the game, whether we're kicking or receiving, whether it be jamming Queensland in their own end or getting out of our own end. We've really got to start the game well, and that's going to come off the back of Jake Trbojevic, Payne Haas, Cam Murray. Cam Murray with that great leg speed that we saw at the start of Game 2, quick play the balls, and obviously then getting it out to the outside men in Bradman Best and Stephen Crichton, who can do their work on the edges. Dylan Edwards in those beautiful support play spread sets. Look, I'm very excited to see how we do go, but I think if we play anywhere near like we did in Game 2, I think we win the series. I honestly do. But it is, as I said, just about how we start the game. The first 20 minutes is going to be imperative. And we saw that, obviously, in Game 2. It was the best 20 to 30 minutes of a start of an Origin game that New South Wales has ever played. And I think that not many people can disagree. So just, starting that way, winning the battle through the middle. You know that Queensland are going to be a lot more up for it. A decider in Suncorp. Queensland go very well at Suncorp, and they obviously play for that jersey a lot more at Suncorp. It is a decider. They have gotten to this stage where they really need to push and win here. Lindsay Collins, Paddy Carrigan, these sort of guys, they're going to be flying out of the line, putting a lot of pressure on our guys. We've just got to start the game well. That's going to be a big focus for us. Obviously, we've got Cam Murray, they've got Ruben Cotter with a bit of leg speed as well, some quick play the balls. Just limiting his impact like we have done in Game 1 and 2 is going to be imperative as well. He has been quite set back, obviously, in those first two games, because he just wasn't able to win the battle. He was getting dominated in contact every time he went for a hit up, or most times he went for a hit up. So just limiting his impact and his leg speed. But also then just jamming Collins. We'll talk a little bit about him when we get to Queensland, but jamming Collins, jamming Paddy Carrigan, limiting the impact of Queensland through the middle like we have in the past two games, at least to start the games. And then just, as I said, winning the battle through the middle, Cam Murray leg speed, quick play the balls, and then obviously Moses and Luai doing their thing as well with the kicking game. And that's a big thing as well. Moses, obviously not having a lot of success at Clubland at the moment. You can see he's very frustrated with how his club is going. I don't want to have that mindset that he has in club football. The frustrated Mitchell Moses carry on into Origin. I want to see the Origin Mitchell Moses that is just killing it, flying, going well, great kicking game, making the right choices, not making those poor choices we saw in his last game for Parramatta, where that short ball for Penasini that probably wasn't on, a few opportunities they could have gone out the back, they missed in that Parramatta game. I don't want to see him making those poor choices again here for New South Wales. I want him switched on. I want him focusing on New South Wales and the team that he's got around him, a lot of professionals that he's got around him. and just making the right choices, but also keeping that kicking game intact. We saw a beautiful kicking game from Moses in game 2. I want to see that carry on again into the decider. So Moses needs to be switched on point, and have a mindset towards New South Wales and not focus on the current club form at Parramatta. That's going to be imperative as well. We talked about the Barnett and Leniu combination off the bench. That's going to be so sick to see. And look, Kurt Capewell being selected there in the starting back row for Queensland. The game plan is pretty much written for the first 20 to 30 minutes, or however long they want to keep Kurt Capewell on in the back row. Target him. His defense was not okay in game 2. Obviously playing out of position as well in the centres. He got absolutely targeted there, going down that right-hand side of the field. You know, they were defending out of position a little bit. Sue on their Queensland left. Obviously, Kurt Capewell was defending more in the middle field. Obviously, Jaden Sewell was defending out in the centres. Tom Dearden was defending out in the back row. They were all defending out of position just to make that cover and make it easier for Kurt Capewell to defend. And it obviously didn't work because they got hammered down that New South Wales right and Queensland left. But that's going to be the game plan, just targeting that side again, going into this decider when we do get a bit of momentum, getting it down that right-hand side to Stephen Crichton, to Zach Lomax, kicks to Lomax as well, getting him one-on-one with, I think it will be, Selwyn Cobbo in this game. But yeah, I'm super excited for this battle, but I'm also a little bit worried, and we're going to talk about that now for Queensland as well, just in terms of the different shaped backline, how I think it's going to look going into this decider as well. But that's really it for New South Wales. Excited to see how Bradman Best goes in this decider game, hoping that he's 100% ready to go. Moses needs to switch on, not focus on club football, focusing on the New South Wales Blues, starting the game with the same intensity, switching on in defence as well. Obviously, the ruck speed with Cam Murray going through the middle of the field and the quick play of the balls, as well as Payne Haas and Jake Trbojevic starting the game right. Gerbo's defence. Barnett and Leniu through the middle is going to be amazing. Yowie, his role could either stay the same or he can turn into that link man guy, come on for Cam Murray and give him a bit of a spell and play that 13 role. We could see that role change with how this side is structured. And that's basically it for New South Wales. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Just looking at this side. Just the last thing for New South Wales, Connor Watson, I think that his role is the same. I think that he comes on in the last 20 minutes and plays a bit of dummy half, but it is very game dependent. I think that it does depend on how the game goes. If there's an injury somewhere, which knock on wood there isn't, but if there is, he comes on and fills in there. But I think that he will play a bit of hooker like he did in game 2. Again, look, it's just sort of how the rotation works. They could even get him on a little bit through the middle if they are a little bit under the pump. And you imagine that with Queensland, going to be up for the fight here through the middle. They are going to come out of the line flying and put a bit of pressure on guys like Cam Murray. I imagine there will be shots on Cam Murray for the first few moments of the game. Maybe they do get Connor Watson on for a bit of leg speed through the middle if the game goes like that. If they're getting dominated through the middle, he'll just come on at 9 and they'll get these big middles to come on and do the job there. Plus, Leniu isn't the biggest guy in the world, but he's got that leg speed and he's got the toughness and size, frame with it. So they don't really need to bring on Connor Watson in that role. They can just have him on at 9. I think that he does play 9, to be honest, in this game. Let's move on to Queensland. Now, the first big point for me is KP off the bench. It is scary. We don't know where he's going to come onto the field. If I had to make a guess, it would probably be in a second row sort of role. I think Kurt Capewell will come off and he'll go on, but he'll sort of play like a second 5'8", and he'll just, roam a little bit down that left-hand side. He'll roam both sides of the field, play like a second fullback 5'8", almost like a fly half in rugby union sort of role where he just roams and plays like a second fullback, helps where he can, helps in those spread sets, but then also, really helping with the X factor down that left-hand side. I think that they are going to load up on that left like they have in previous games as well. So I think that's where he comes on. He sort of gets on at left edge back row, but plays a bit more of a roaming second 5'8", fly half sort of role in this side. That's what I think KP's role is going to be, and that scares me too, because especially with the form that he's returned with for Newcastle, plus he looks like he's getting a lot bigger as well in that in that Queensland camp. Sorry, he looks absolutely huge. He looks like he's put on a few kilos, so looking for him to have a bit of an impact and be strong in contact too, I think, if he does come on in that role. Very scary signs. Him and Reece Walsh linking up is going to be fucking insane. If we do see any tries like that, as a New South Welshman, I'll still be very, very enthused. I like just the champagne rugby league that these two are going to put on. I really will. But at the same time, as a New South Welshman, very, very scared. Look, in terms of the changes here for this side as well, obviously we spoke about KP already, but Reid Marnie is there as a precaution in jersey number 20. If Harry Grant's sternum is fucked, and we'll talk about Harry Grant in a second as well towards the end. We do see Selwyn Cobbo come onto one wing. We see Valentine Holmes get pushed out to another wing. Dane Gagai and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow are the centres. Jaden Sewer's been dropped, which is a huge call. His club form, he's been one of the informed back rowers behind Angus Crichton and Dave Fafita in the competition. He's easily the number 3 back rower in form in the competition right now. The fact that he's been dropped out of this side, I think, is pretty big. I hope that he hasn't been blamed for the defensive problems that they had in game 2. I think it's more so Kurt Capewell you've got to blame for that, but maybe Billy Slater's seen something that I haven't. But Jaden Sewer's out. Murray Taulungi's obviously out with a hamstring injury. He's obviously had a few hamstring injuries this year, Murray Taulungi. And Xavier Coates obviously out with injury as well, which is huge for this side. They've had to have a massive reshuffle in the back line. Maybe New South Wales can exploit those poor defensive, combinations there on the edges. They have had 2 weeks to train with each other, so hopefully they're a bit sound, but we'll have to wait and see. In terms of how this back line is going to be shaped, I think that Dane Gagai and Selwyn Cobbo will be on the right side, or maybe Dane Gagai and Valentine Holmes. Yeah, Dane Gagai, Valentine Holmes, I think will be on the right side. I think that Hammer and Selwyn Cobbo will be on the left. Maybe not. No. Okay. Yeah, no, just thinking about it now, Valentine Holmes and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow will be on the left. Dane Gagai, Selwyn Cobbo on the right. That's how I think this is going to go. Just trying to think about where Valentine Holmes was last time. I think they are going to get him away from that left edge defence. Obviously the right edge defence, I should say, for Queensland, going up against Bradman Best. I think they'll have him on that right side. But then again, obviously, no, he'll be on the left. Val Holmes will be on the left with Hammer, Dane Gagai, Selwyn Cobbo right. I think that Val Holmes will go to the left and defend the right side of New South Wales. I've confused myself here already, which is perfect in the middle of a podcast. But I think that he'll be defending against Critter and Lomax, which is going to be a little bit interesting, especially in the air on last tackle. But that's the thing, though. I honestly can't predict it, because then why wouldn't you want Selwyn Cobbo playing on the left where he's played all season, going up against Lomax on those last tackle plays? Yeah, I think that Val Holmes will be on the right side. I think Val Holmes will be on the right side with Dane Gagai, and he'll stay on that same side. And then obviously Hammer and Selwyn Cobbo will be on the left. And I think that's the play, because you'd want Selwyn Cobbo marking up against Lomax on those last tackle kicks from Moses. Because if it's Val Holmes going up against Lomax, that's tries every day of the week. I just don't think Val Holmes is as good as in the air as what Lomax is. I think that they will mark up Cobbo against Lomax. So Cobbo will play left with Hammer, and Holmes will play right with Gagai. And Holmes and Gagai combo is still pretty dangerous in attack as well. I also think that Val Holmes, as I said, he hasn't been too good defensively this year. I think you just need to put him out on the wing. He'd be great with his kick returns, I think. So just having him out there on the wing, I think, is a little bit better. Leave Gagai defending, and with Gagai as well, you can trust him in defense. He's been very good defensively this year. He's a lot safer than what Valentine Holmes is. So I would be going for that sort of direction in this game. I'd be having Hammer and Cobbo together, Dane Gagai, Val Holmes together on the right. And then obviously, as I said, Cobbo defending Lomax with those last tackle kicks. And then you can just get Val Holmes defending Brian To'o, which is still going to be very interesting how that goes. But yeah, look, I think that's the best possible way to go. And I think that Billy has picked Cobbo in there for those last tackle kicks. He's identified Lomax to be very good in the air, and I think we've all identified that. So having Cobbo there, who's also very good in the air, to challenge that, I think is going to be the plan. That took a little bit of a while to figure out. I apologize for that brain fart there, but Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this back line is shaped. It could be totally different to what I've just said, but I think that tactically you'd want Cobbo against Lomax, and I think that the rest of it just makes sense. Having Holmes where he's played on that right side for the whole series, just moving him out one, just have a little bit less pressure on him in the defensive line, and Gagai can obviously make those tackles in the centres as well. And he's just a lot safer in the centres there, Dane Gagai. In terms of the other points here for Queensland, let's talk about the pack. Obviously, they've gone for pretty much the same pack here. The forward pack for Queensland is Ruben Cotter and Lindsay Collins starting in the front row, Kurt Capewell and Nanai in the back row, Paddy Carrigan at 13, Mo Fodawaker, Felice Kafusi, Kalyn Ponga in that jersey 17. So they've only got the two forwards coming off the bench. This rotation is going to be very interesting. Does that mean that Kurt Capewell and Nanai will play the full 80 minutes? That will be interesting as well. Does Paddy Carrigan get a spell or does he play 80 as well? That will be interesting as well. It depends where they put KP on the field. Looking at Paddy Carrigan playing a little bit of back row, we could even see Paddy Carrigan go onto an edge and then see Kalyn Ponga go into that 13 sort of role rather than going on to an edge. I think Kalyn Ponga will go onto the edge, though, and then just roam. And they'll keep Paddy in the middle because I think defensively you just got to have him in the middle. You can't afford to have him on an edge. But look, I mean, if you look at Brisbane over the past few weeks with Paddy Carrigan in the side, he has moved out to an edge before kickoff. But yeah, obviously it's pretty obvious where Mo's going to come onto the field. Mo Fodawaker, he's going to come in through the middle. Felice Kafusi can come on an edge or in the middle, but I think that with the footy that he's playing at the Dolphins at the moment, I think that he will play in the middle of the field rather than on an edge. It'd be very interesting to see how this rotation works. Do the back rowers play 80? Does Paddy Carrigan play 80? Does Paddy Carrigan move to an edge at some point in the game? Very, very interesting to find out. Obviously you got Harry Grant here too that will play a bit of a roaming role. Now that's going to be interesting, and that's the point I really want to get to here. Harry Grant and his sternum. That is going to be very interesting. What happens with him? I think that New South Wales have to target him when he's in that roaming role. I don't even know if he will go into that roaming role, to be honest. I think that he'll just stay in the number 9. I think they'll put him on straight at 9 and move Hunt into a roaming lock role. But they might even not even do that with obviously Kalyn Ponga on the bench because he's already going to be roaming and you've got too many chefs in the kitchen. I think they'll keep both Ben Hunt and Harry Grant in the number 9 role. But regardless, having Harry Grant in the defensive line with that sternum concern, I'd be targeting a lot of play, especially quick play the balls, getting a Spencer Leniu running straight at Harry Grant here and just trying to barge him over. And look, it sounds cruel, but, you want to, obviously go after all of the weaknesses here for Queensland. Harry Grant is probably going to be a bit of a weak link with that sternum injury, and you're obviously going to have the big forwards for Queensland protecting him a little bit there, but I'd be targeting a lot of the attack at Harry Grant with that sternum injury, and I think that's what New South Wales are going to do. The fast legs of Barnett and Leniu coming onto the field pretty much time that very well. The same time Harry Grant comes on, you get a Spencer Leniu coming on and just running straight at him. I think that's the plan here for New South Wales, and even just getting Cam Murray running at him with some quick leg speed as well, running around him, getting a quick play of the ball and getting forward to just run straight at him as well. That's going to be the plan. But you definitely got to exploit that weakness. Himself, Harry Grant, and Kurt Capewell for me. You got to target both of those guys. I think that is going to have to be the plan. Reece Walsh, obviously the redemption of Reece Walsh here. Very excited to see him have a big game. Obviously had a huge one for Brisbane the other week. Obviously straight after that Origin performance, I'm looking for him to have an absolute blinder here. Just really redeem himself. And especially if they do get a bit of go forward through the middle here, with Ruben Cotter getting a bit more momentum and leg speed in this game, maybe Lindsay Collins and Paddy Carrigan get a bit more go forward in some points, just letting him have some runs as well and getting him, running in a few gaps around tight forwards as well, obviously in those spread sets, but obviously stepping back on the inside. His footwork is so electric and just his pace off the mark. I think if he finds a gap, he's going to be very dangerous still. Just getting Reece Walsh early ball, letting him do his thing. I think he's going to have a big game, Reece Walsh. Massive game, especially off the back of his Brisbane performance the other week. I think he's in for a pretty big one. And look, the last point here I've got is Origin Dane Gagai. Origin Dane Gagai is a fucking nightmare to defend. He just goes to another level. He goes to another level in Origin. He's definitely going to have to be one that New South Wales watch for. He'll be running up against Bradman Best. And Bradman Best with a little bit of a hamstring concern. I think defensively he's still going to be solid. He's one of the better defensive centers in the comp. Big body as well. I think that you've just really got to take Dane Gagai out of the game early, defend him strong, put some shots on him when he does go on those spread sets. And yeah, this battle is going to be very, very entertaining. Bradman Best going up against Dane Gagai. Cannot wait for it, but it does scare me, Dane Gagai. Origin Dane Gagai as well. Very scary prospect. I'm keen to see how Billy uses him, and I'm keen to see him go to another level and have this real tight contest. And I think it will be a tight game. Look, a lot of people are saying New South Wales 13 plus. Can't say it. I really can't. Queensland at Suncorp. Even if we do play to the same standard that we played in game 2, I still feel like Queensland are going to go to another level still here at Suncorp. They're obviously going to get a big speech before the game. They're going to be ready for this one. They're preparing all week. They've probably had a number of speeches, obviously a number of talks with Billy hyping them up, showing them what it means to play at Suncorp as a Queenslander, stuff like that. They're just getting them ready, get ready to go. And I think that they're going to be right up for this one. I think that they're going to be a lot better than what they were in game 2. I think they're going to be right up for the contest through the middle. So, yeah, look, I mean, it is going to be a tight game. I cannot see it going out to 13 plus like game 2 did. I think it is going to be the 1 to 12 affair. I still think if Moses is switched on with the kicking game, it is going to be that 1 to 12 affair. In terms of try scorers, look, you've got to go with Bradman Best. I love Bradman Best. I think he scores a try. Look, you're going up against Dane Gagai, who is one of the better defensive centers in the competition, but I think that Bradman Best does get over. We saw him in game 3 last year, absolutely rip and tear. I think he got 2 on that day as well. So Bradman Best for me scores. You got to have him, the new guy coming in. I think he scores. For me, I think that Jeremiah Nanai scores off a kick as well. I can just see him going over the line there for a bit of value. Nanai and Best with New South Wales to win. I like that multi, especially with New South Wales now as the underdogs. I really do like it. It has evened out a little bit. It is $1.80 for the Maroons and $2 on Sportsbet there for the Blues. But I would be cashing up on this because I think it'll even right out before kickoff as well. Very keen for this one. This will be one of the better games of the year, so make sure you tune in for the decider. Very high quality football I reckon we're looking forward to here. Queensland going to be right up for the contest at home. New South Wales, a massive test on their hands. Can they beat Queensland? Can it be a 13 plus win? Can we get a similar game that we did? We saw in game 2, or is it going to be that super tight contest? I cannot wait to find out. Make sure if you haven't already to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure to become a part of the Big Lez'S League community. All the socials will be in the description below. We'll see you guys in the next one.